over that portion of it, that I'm not perfect, that there are going to be things that are said that maybe shouldn't have been said. There are going to be points that I tried to make that maybe I didn't get my point across. There are going to be certain words that maybe I dropped a syllable on because I am from the South. So yeah, you're going to hear some of that. But for the most part, the essence of what we try and discuss here are things that are going to enhance our community. Things that are going to improve our everyday lives. This is a forum to do that. And as long as I'm not in here dropping the F-bomb, I'm not in here talking about your mom, I'm not in here talking about, well, I'm talking about some of you dads out there, but probably not your dad, don't worry about it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Let's talk about the big issues. Let's talk about how we can economically become self-sufficient in this community. Let's talk about the fact that we do not have a major grocery store chain in this community. And there are so many people that are in need. Let's talk about those things. Let's talk about how we improve our community. How do we improve the standards of our community? How do we improve the educational standards in our community? Let's get involved on the serious things. But the only time we want to have a serious opinion is when we think that someone has done something that is racist towards us. Or someone made a remark that may have been racist. Those are petty things that we get caught up on and they impede progress. We cannot become a better community getting stuck on things like that. So what I promise you is this. I already have a deal with my daughter. When I come home, last week I came home and the first thing I heard was, "Daddy, you owe me $4." Okay? Every word of profanity that I say, my daughter counts it. She's there counting. I know exactly where I said it. Of course, she won't repeat the words, but she's counting every single word that I say because I have to pay her $1 when she hears me curse. So you don't have to worry about that part. That part's covered. I'm going to get admonished on that. I'm going to feel bad about that because my 6-year-old daughter was listening and she heard me say something that I tell her not to say. So that part's covered. So let's get past that. Let's go beyond that. Now, if you have something to say that's going to improve our community, I'm ready to hear that. I'm ready to hear it. When I talked last week, and I also spoke a couple of weeks ago about the school system and the fact that we pour way too much money into kids that don't give a doggone about school. And I had some people, again, some called on air, but too many stopped me off air and they wanted to tell me that I was wrong. They couldn't tell me where I was wrong. They just felt like, "Oh, you're trying to throw our kids away." No, I'm not trying to throw our kids away. What I'm saying is that if we set the standards higher, our kids will reach higher. But if we set a low standard and they know that that's all they have to get, then that's what they're going to do. Think about this. When you were in school, and I'm speaking to anyone who's listening right now, and you had the hardest class. I don't know, maybe it's your algebra class, maybe it was geometry, maybe it was history. But whatever class it was that you considered to be the hardest, you were happy to pass that class with a C. And sometimes even a D. You just had to pass the class and you were happy. That's what our kids are doing. We have set the standards so low. We have set our expectations so low that our kids are only trying to reach that minimum ring. They're trying to reach the minimum. And many of them are sitting in classrooms every single day. They can't wait until they're 16 so that they can drop out. Why? Because we've said that they could drop out at 16. Now, if that is hurting the African American community more than anything else, why haven't we marched on the school system and said that we need to change that law? If you really care that I'm talking about throwing away those kids that don't want to go to school, if you think that, how come you haven't tried to change that rule? If you care so much. So again, my point in all of this is that we talk about a lot of different things here. And I love talking about the gossip stuff. I used to work with a morning show, so I know how to look up the gossip, and we could talk about the gossip for the next 3 hours. That would be real easy. But the fact is that we have way too many problems in our community to get hung up on small things. And so we want to go after the bigger things. What are we going to do economically in our community so that we can start turning things around? If we say that transportation is a problem here in this community, that many folks can't get to work because work is way off and to take the bus, or what we call the street bus, or what others call Lee Tran. To take that is really an inconvenience. You have to be up at 5:30 and maybe catch 3 or 4 stops to try and get to a job out south. then what can we do about bringing businesses into our community? Are we getting on our council people? Are we getting on our county commissioners? Are we demanding that they start to invest in our community? No, we won't do that, but you'll stop me and tell me I said damn on the radio. So yeah, I'm a small fish, and I state my opinions. That's all I do. If you disagree with them, I understand. But at least I'm man enough to state them. And I'm man enough to hold myself up to be publicly ridiculed, because I dare you to call me and debate me. And if you can beat me down, fine. I'm not just going to give it to you. I had someone tell me, someone who I love very much, so I hope if she's listening, she don't take this personally. But she told me that, yeah, you don't like, how is it? You don't like other people's opinions or something. I do. I love other people's opinion. If it's different from mine, though, you're going to have to defend your opinion. I'm not just going to give it to you. I love hearing counter arguments because I can learn something. It makes me think. That's why I listen to Rush Limbaugh. That's why I listen to Sean Hannity. And I listen to my share of the liberal press too. And that's why I know that I don't want to belong to either one of them. Do I call myself a Republican? Yes, I call myself a Republican. But I'm pretty much like every other American. I'm middle of the road. Some things the Democrats do I agree with. Some things they do I don't agree with. Some things the Republicans do I agree with. Some things they do I don't agree with. I support the president no matter who it is. I supported George Bush when he was in office, because he was the man who held the office. It wasn't out of respect for George Bush. It was out of respect for the presidency of the United States. And now that someone who I like is in the office, I still have that respect for it. See, my respect for it didn't diminish because someone that I did not like was in the office. And that's the important thing. So many people withdrew themselves after the 2000 election, when the Supreme Court pretty much handed the election to George W. Bush. Many folks that had kind of gotten engaged got out of it because they felt that, hey, these people aren't going to listen to us. They ran away from it. I can't tell you how many kids I spoke with who told me that they hated George Bush but couldn't give me a reason why. And the reason for it is because their parents were sitting around the house saying how much they hate George Bush but weren't giving them a reason why. And there was a lot of reasons not to like George Bush. But if the only reason you don't like him is because you think that you're not supposed to like him, there's something fundamentally wrong with that. And that's something that can't be taught. That's something that we have to erase out of ourselves. We have to take on the ability to listen and to realize that when people say something that I disagree with, that does not make them my enemy. That just makes them a person that disagrees with me. That's all. We aren't mortal enemies. We don't have to have a shootout in the street. But at some point, my brothers and sisters, we got to start taking responsibility for ourselves. We have to. And that means that we have to get over the small stuff. Now, I said all that because I got told a couple of times that, you know, you cursed.
Yeah, another thing, we need to learn to hear the message rather than dwelling on the curse word. Because when you dwelling on the curse part all the time, you're forgetting the main message. Like, you know, I'm not perfect. Every now and then I say a curse word too. But you don't know if somebody asked for forgiveness for that curse word. You're trying to condemn me and send me to hell because I said damn or hell, okay? You know.
That's right.
But you ain't using it in the right way. I mean, you know.
Oh, come on. Come on.
I'm not out there smoking and doing crack and all this other nasty mess y'all doing.
That's right.
So why you gonna try to send me to hell? Because I say a few little cuss words, and I do ask for forgiveness for it when I say it. So we need to kind of like just block out that curse word and get the message when somebody's telling you something.
That's right. That's right. Now, here's something that we could have gotten mad about this week. There is a congressman out of the South. He's from South Carolina, I believe. No, he's the lieutenant governor. Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer. Now, Andre Bauer, he was an actor on Homicide: Life on the Street. Now, he's a black guy. Now, this guy's a white guy, and he's Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina. He made a comment this week. I did have the recording, but none of my recording stuff is working this week on my computer. So I changed programs, and now I got to figure out how to use it. I went to Windows 7, which is great. Any of you who haven't got Windows 7, you ought to get it, especially if you have that atrocity that they called Windows. What was it? Vista. If you have that, Windows 7, oh, it's great. Windows 7. So and I'm not getting no money from Microsoft. Although